Awareness, that's your answer. Awareness. Sit with the problem long enough and you'll find yourself discovering the answer. It doesn't matter if it's a massive, massive problem. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny problem. Sit with the problem long enough and you'll discover yourself finding the solution. You don't need anybody else's advice. You just need yourself. You have the intelligence inside of you to figure out the solution instinctively. I guess this is kind of a skill that you have to develop. And if you develop the skill, then it transcends into everything else that you do. Let's say you have a bad habit that you want to eliminate from your life. And you want to permanently keep a good habit. And you know that your bad habit is good. You just know it. But you can't bring yourself to change. Maybe you tried a couple of times but you failed and you regress back to your old self. Why can't you keep the new self? Why can't you keep the person that you tried to build over a couple of days and end up just regressing back to your old self? Is that the first couple of days when you tried to change, you were aware of the problem, the bad habit, you were watching it and you were actively trying to fix it. But in a couple of days you got tired because your willpower extinguished, and now you're regressing back to comfort, your safety zone. But at this point, if you become aware of you going back to the safety zone, then you will naturally come back to the habit. I'm not saying you always do, but you will come back to the habit if you keep looking at the habit. If you keep looking yourself regressing back to your old self, which is probably the worst version of you, you will naturally want to come back to the good habit. And you watch it long enough, that good habit becomes a part of you. So going back to the old self feels unnatural. Now you don't have to apply this to habits. You can apply it to any kind of problem, any kind of thing. You want to make $1 million? Just think about the problem, indulge in the problem long enough, and you'll find yourself naturally seeking solutions. Not out of willpower, not out of force, not out of discipline, but just intrinsically. Just because you want to do it, just because you want to solve a problem. You don't need to force yourself to do anything. You'll just naturally find yourself sitting in your desk for 8 hours a day without any break, and you don't get tired. You don't get burnt out because you want to solve the problem, because it's running in your head, it's looping in your head. You're constantly thinking about the problem. No, let me get that correct. You're constantly thinking about the solutions to the problem, not the problem. So actually you forget the problem. Now you're fixed in a mission. Your time is purposeful now. You're working towards something. And as a side effect, if you have any mental health issues like depression, this automatically resolves it. Like, you don't need any medication. Just having a purpose with your time, just knowing where you're going, figuring out solutions is a medication you need. Natural medication. But basically, you have to be aware of your problems. If you're aware long enough, you'll naturally find yourself seeking the solution. And you don't need any willpower, you don't need any discipline to change yourself. Pretty much it, nothing more to add to it.